Welcome to Come Home to Forest Lawn. This is a cemetery podcast, really about one of our country's most iconic cemeteries. And we're really here to discuss all aspects of running and operating this iconic not-for-profit cemetery here in Buffalo, New York. I'm Julie Snyder, the CEO of Forest Lawn Cemetery Group, and I'm so thrilled to have one of our team members here, Andy Howard. Andy is a certified arborist. Forest Lawn is a level 2 arboretum. So we're going to talk about today what that means, why it's so important to have a collection of trees like we do at Forest Lawn, and really what it takes to preserve and grow our arboretums. So, Andy, tell me a little bit about how you came to Forest Lawn and what your role is.
So I've been with the cemetery for 18 years now. I'm part of the grounds team, so I do anything that happens on the grounds I'm involved in. I'm in charge of all the trusts, the special care lots in the cemetery, and most recently I've become the arborist at Forest Lawn.
So how long ago did you become, as you said, a certified arborist? What is the criteria and the process like for that designation?
To become certified, you have to prove that you have at least 3 years of full-time experience as in arboriculture. And previous to Forest Lawn, I worked for tree companies and on farms where we had trees. So I've had that experience throughout my career. But I also, after that experience, I also had to take a written test, 200 questions.
200 questions?
Yeah.
Wow.
They test you on all different, aspects of trees and
Right.
maintenance, and
Right.
identification.
Right. So I do know that it's understanding all what we would call woody plant material across our cemetery. We have 269 acres.
Correct.
And really, what does it mean? I know that Forest Lawn was thrilled probably about 2 years ago to go through the formal process of becoming a certified level 1 arboretum. And most recently, we are now a level 2. What does that really mean to become a certified arboretum at both levels?
So we're accredited by ArbNet, which is run by the Morton Arboretum outside of Chicago. Globally, there's just under 900 accredited arboretums in the world. So we're level 2. That kind of puts us up there. There's only, I think, 242 level 2 arboretums.
Great.
So we're kind of it's a very
We're in rare air.
Yeah, it's a great honor.
That's great. And I do know we are one of 6 cemeteries in New York State that carry that designation, which also is very unique for a cemetery. Why do you think Forest Lawn has that qualification to be an arboretum? What are the unique things about Forest Lawn?
The history, it was the topography. A lot went into it. The cemetery was placed outside of the city as kind of a refuge, a place where people could go and relax,
Enjoy the landscape, right?
Correct. So that was part of the plan right from the start.
Right.
So that kind of makes my job easier because they thought about this 175 years ago.
Right. Part of the rural cemetery movement. Mount Auburn in Cambridge, Massachusetts was one of the first rural cemeteries in the United States. And I know Forest Lawn, as you said, has a really long history, 175 years. How many trees are on the grounds at Forest Lawn today?
I think we're at just over 4,000 that are actually inventoried. We also have some native areas that are not all inventoried where there's just trees that grow wild.
Right.
Still a few places left.
When I arrived at Forest Lawn 2.5 years ago, there was a large bound book from the John R. Oshai Foundation. It was commissioned for Forest Lawn after the terrible ice storms in 2006 when so many of our trees came down. And the vision in that study and really that plan was the restoration of the canopy to 6,000 trees.
Correct.
Tell me about from that day till now, and you said we're at about how many trees?
I think 4,100.
4,100 with the goal of restoration of that full
That
canopy.
full 6,000 is what we're shooting for.
How does being a level 2 arboretum help us with that? And what are the plans and the vision for the next, as I say, let's get to our bicentennial at
Right.
Forest Lawn. 25 years from now, what is the vision to get to that?
So part of the level 2 accreditation is you have to have a collections policy, and that put it in writing what our plans are, and now we're held to it. So,
Right, right.
So that's part of the accreditation process. Each level builds on the preceding one. So as we move through that, potentially level 3 in a couple of years, there'll be more educational components, but also you have to have more different species. You have to have 500 different varieties of trees when you get to level 3.
How many varieties do we have today at Forest Lawn?
We have 270 right now.
Okay,
so
we're over the halfway mark.
we're getting there.
And thinking about, some people have said to me, because we've actually had employer groups, M&T Bank came, spent the day planting trees at our cemetery. And some people say, gee, I didn't know you could plant trees in your graves or around graves, or where do you even have extra space to do that? And why don't you explain the way you literally stake out space and place for new trees?
That is a challenge because obviously a lot of our work in the cemetery is underground.
Yeah,
which,
yes.
Which interferes with the roots and the structure of the trees. So we have to plan accordingly. Some sections have designed areas for trees, other areas where their burials have all taken places, and there's some space in the lots we can put trees if people reserve that for that purpose.
Great. And we have, I know, where trees have sort of aged out and been removed. Right. You're very thoughtful and intentional about a replant. Is that correct?
Yeah, you mentioned the October storm. That was, I think, 800, 900 trees came out then. But also prior to that, there was Dutch elm disease that wiped out it was over 1,000 elm trees, American elms.
Is it true Forest Lawn still has one of the few, if not the only remaining elm in the city of Buffalo?
We have one American elm tree left that precedes the Dutch elm disease outbreak. There's other varieties that are resistant to Dutch elm disease, so we have some of those American elms as well.
Great. Many people have said when they come to Forest Lawn and they kind of come in and go down the hill very near Mirror Lake, surrounded by the trees and the landscape, you would not know you were in the middle of a city. And I think that's really one of the highest compliments to you, the grounds team, and really the intentional way that we have maintained that landscape. How many trees do we plant each year at Forest Lawn?
It varies year to year. Over the last 2 years, we've planted, I want to say, 400 to 500 trees. I know across all of our cemeteries, it was 600 trees over the last 2 years.
That's great.
So it's not just Forest Lawn. We take care of the trees at our other cemeteries.
And it was interesting for me to understand that the cost, really, we have a direct cost to go and get these specific types of trees to plant across our landscape. And you don't want all the same trees, right?
Correct.
To plant the tree, to stake the tree, to protect the tree, especially from deer, and to see that tree to that third year costs us around $2,000 a tree of direct and indirect costs. To remove a tree, which is also part of maintaining an arboretum, what does it cost to remove one of those really large trees when it's completed its life, or sometimes it falls over?
More than $2,000. Sometimes
Yes.
it could be, $8,000 to $10,000
Yes.
for one of the more massive large trees that we have a few of.
So maintaining a landscape in this very urban setting is not just a benefit to our permanent residents who lie in rest, their families, all of our lot holders, but I will say that the community greatly benefits from the Arboretum at Forest Lawn.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things to do in the cemetery is just watch people, because they come in, they walk, they ride their bikes, they visit their loved ones, but they also just enjoy the area and the nature, the landscape.
And I often hear from people when they come in through those iconic gates and they see the trees, no matter what season, it really is, it just contributes so much to our community. I know that one of the areas for Forest Lawn is obviously we're still a very active cemetery, and we will be for years to come. People sometimes think we're full. And we often have to explain no, but as you enter our landscape, and that's really what it is, you see so many different species of trees. We received charitable donations, and we continue to receive gifts designated for the Arboretum. One of the things we used those gifts for was an investment in technology, our tree keeper software. Can you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about that asset and how they can use it?
Yeah, you can actually find a link on our website. If you go to forest-lawn.com, plan your visit, and then there's a section for Arboretum, and find a tree. And you can open up, if you use your phone, it's great for identifying individual trees. There's a map that you can kind of find where you are on the map and click on the individual trees. If you want to get a little more in depth, I suggest you use your home computer or a tablet, because then you can search by, species,
Section,
and
full
yeah, there's more filters that way.
But having that as a resource, and really the fact that we were able through donations to do what I would call a live inventory of our trees, is great. So thinking about the on the website, plan your visit. If I were to be coming into Buffalo and I really love trees, take me through those gates at Delaware and Delavan and just give me some of the highlights from your lens as an arborist that are worth seeing.
Okay. If you come in the springtime, you have to see the cherries around Mirror Lake. That is a sight to be seen.
And those are Yoshino. Isn't that a unique cherry tree?
Around the lake, they're Yoshinos. We have several other different varieties in different areas. But yeah, around the lake, they're the white flowering Yoshinos. Also near the chapel, we have a grove of bald cypress trees from the Pan Am Exposition in 1901. Those are pretty spectacular. That they're
still alive,
thriving through blizzards, through ice storms, everything.
Are there cypress trees known to thrive in north of the Mason-Dixon line, as I would say?
They survive, and they do all right, but it's not their native area. Yeah. They are quite a bit north of where they should be, but they're doing great. We do have a walking tree tour that if you want to get in there and see some special things, it's a tour that I lead and developed. It's kind of shows off some of my favorite trees.
As an arborist, there are things you observe in our landscape that others might miss. There's a little known fact about the sycamore tree. Why don't you tell that story?
In extreme cold weather circumstances like we've had this winter, certain trees, the sycamore especially, will get what's called a frost crack, and the tree will actually split and open up. And this year it opened up over an inch. We have one particular tree that I've been watching for the past 15 years or so. And I actually took pictures, and I have measurements from this year, last year, and from the first time I noticed it, I think it was 14 years ago. And it's amazing that it'll open up over an inch, and then that crack, as soon as it warms up, it'll seal right back up, and you wouldn't even know that it was there.
Why does the tree open up like that in cold weather?
Just there's a lot of water in trees, so as that freezes, there's expansion and contraction. Yeah, so that's...
Wow.
Nature's pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
We also, I've been recording the dates of the cherry blossoms every year for the last 2-3 years. So each variety, so we know when it's in stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that helps us track climate. It helps us better predict when everybody wants to know when the cherries are going to bloom. And that's not an easy thing to determine.
To predict. And we work with I Love New York. They do a statewide cherry blossom watch along with our friends at Olmsted Park over at the History Museum, at the Japanese Garden. We are now part of that statewide tracking. Certainly welcome visitors that time of year, but don't pick the cherry blossoms, right?
Leave them there for the next person.
Leave them there. So I think you think about trees the way I think about designer handbags. There's always one that I cannot wait to get. It's part of my lifetime passion. For you, thinking about forest lawn and our collection of trees, is there a tree, a species that you think about and think about how great it would be to introduce that into the collection?
There's always a tree that I want to introduce.
See, just like a designer handbag.
Last summer, I planted a weeping katsura tree. It's still pretty small, but it's going to be magnificent someday.
Magnificent. A weeping katsura.
Yeah, which in the fall smells like toasted marshmallows.
Oh my
It's a beautiful
gosh.
tree. It's by Mirror Lake. I also planted a Franklin tree, which is extinct in the wild. It was discovered in Georgia, and it's now extinct. But it's still available in nurseries. So we planted one of those. We planted a couple red flowering dogwood trees, which are really rare but
Beautiful.
beautiful, spectacular trees.
Yeah.
And there's more. Well,
There's more to come.
there's more to come.
Great. There's always something to see at Forest Lawn.
Yeah.
I know that as our arborist, you're very passionate about our trees and our landscape. And we certainly welcome donations to the Forest Lawn Heritage Foundation. I'm going to do a shameless plug. Gifts can be restricted for our tree fund. And I can assure you that those dollars go to great use and for the benefit of many, many people. So thank you so much, Andy, for coming to our beautiful podcast studio here in the Buffalo News.
Thank you for having me, Julie.
We're so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for what you do every day, because we are so blessed to have your gifts and talents at Forest Lawn. And I know I speak for your colleagues and all the people that you have come to know over these last almost 20 years at Forest Lawn, that you're really always a steady fixture in our landscape. And thank you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.